I don't see how anybody can defend him anymore. I don't see how apologists can try to rally other people to see what they see. Because, yeah, sure, tell me all the great things you want to tell me. And, yeah, it's great. That's adorable. Oh, regular season stuff? Cool. What's he doing in the playoffs? Nothing? Cool. Thanks for coming over. Like, I'm beyond disappointed because I really thought we were going to have a lot more time to talk about the greatness that was Joel Embiid, the greatness that was this season. Ben Simmons working his way out of his troubles and his funk and all that stuff. And we just don't, we're not going to, no, we're not going to be able to do that. So that's where we're at right now when it comes to the Sixers team. And it's yet another team that we've watched in Philadelphia that has disappointed us, did not reach or exceed expectations, and that's what we have right now in Philadelphia. I do give a lot of credit to the Atlanta Hawks, and I know people hate hearing that, but I do. I didn't think they were a bad basketball team. I just didn't think they were nowhere as good as the 76ers. And I'm just blown away that they were able to do what they did in this series. And the Sixers had no answer. When you have so many different guys that are either getting hot at the right moment or one guy is the guy that gets hot and can step up at the right moment, like, how do you answer that when you don't have the offensive firepower in terms of multiple scorers on the floor? Like, they had Bogdanovich go off for him. They had Herter go off for him. They had Trae Young go off for him. Danilo Gallinari, like I mentioned, had a couple of big shots for him. They had all these different guys. John Collins certainly being another guy. And then it was like the Sixers was like, all right, maybe Embiid will be hot right now, and then he'll go out, and then Dwight Howard comes in and gets a stupid foul, and then Ben Simmons still doesn't do anything offensively. Oh, Tobias Harris will hit a couple shots. That's cool. Oh, Seth Curry will step up. Nice. Oh, one guy from the bench here and there. All right, awesome. But that was it. It seemed like every single night for the Hawks, especially in the games they won, obviously, they had somebody step up with big shots when they needed them, and the Sixers certainly did not. And I know there's a lot of people, just from doing the show the other night, immediately after Game 5, I think it was, immediately after that, I know a lot of people wanted to point to a young basketball team. Like, do people realize Joel Embiid's 27 years old? Like, I feel like everyone's still stuck in there. Oh, he's at 25. He's still 25. He's still 24. No, he's 27 years old. And that means a couple of things. Ben Simmons, 24 years old. 24 years old, 3-time All-Star. So it's not like he's a spring chicken anymore either in terms of, NBA experience. Like, he should know what he needs to do to help his team win. Tobias Harris obviously is not young. He's, 28, 29 years old? The thing that you really should focus on here is Joel Embiid being 27. How much longer is this window going to last for Joel Embiid? The Sixers are going to make that the number one priority, is capitalizing on that window, especially with now him being eligible for that super max huge Kajunga contract extension, right? What do you do with that? Are you going to make sure that you get the best players around him as possible? Because right now, Ben Simmons doesn't look like he wants to develop into that player that can play alongside Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid looks like a guy who wants to develop into the best possible basketball player that he can be. Ben Simmons wants to develop into the version of Ben Simmons that Ben Simmons likes the most. And that's not the same thing at all compared to Joel Embiid. If you're Ben Simmons, you have to be in the gym already. He said after the game that he wants to go clear his mind. I guess everyone wants to get away from it, but look, you could have very well played your last game in Philadelphia. Even if you go elsewhere, what are you going to do to maximize your potential? Like, I'd love to know what Ben does to work on his jump shot, to work on his free throws. And I don't need to know that by watching Instagram posts. I don't need to know that through off-season, social media posts in general. I just need to know that by watching it go into a season with him shooting a mid-range jump shot and him knocking down, 80% of his free throws. And that's going to be a huge jump for him, which I just don't expect. But, by the way, Keith Pompey is our guest today, and Keith Pompey obviously covers the Sixers for the Inquirer. And he tried to help explain after last night's game to me what exactly took place and what we can expect going forward. But let me say this, because I haven't mentioned this yet. I know a lot of people are on the trade Ben Simmons train. I am too. If you're telling me you could get Dame Lillard, I lost my voice last night. Yeah, if you're telling me you can go out there and get a superstar number one scorer to play with Joel Embiid, like the Sixers probably tried to do there with James Harden, according to the reports, then yeah, you go get that. Because as great as defense is, as great as a facilitator is, As great as Ben Simmons, as great as we've seen him play in those tiny little spurts of the guy that we at least want him to develop into. The perfect example of that is the month of February, where he shot over 70% from the line and averaged, I think, over 15 points per game. And still was the facilitator, and still was the defender and all that. If you're telling me you could get a number one scorer for Ben Simmons somehow, magically, and you package picks or whatever you got to do, then all right, yeah, let's ring the dinner bell. Let's have it. But I just don't see it happening, especially now with Ben Simmons coming off the playoff performance that he just had. But here's what I'm done with. And as far as I'm concerned, this is the only take that matters. And it's not even just my take. It's a lot of people's takes that have a clue as to what they just watched. Ben Simmons is a hell of a defender. Ben Simmons can be a hell of a facilitator. But the fact that he came up small, not just small, the fact that he came up minuscule in this series when it mattered most as a number one seed is unforgivable until he puts himself in this position again to right the wrong. This isn't something that he could right during next regular season. This is something he has to right in the postseason. He has to be able to give us hope if he is here next year that he can hit his foul shots, that he can at least be somewhat of a scoring threat for this offense and not just attacking the rim. Because here's what we discover time and time again with Ben Simmons in the playoffs. He is taken out of the game, both literally this time around and figuratively, as we have come to know throughout his career. In the playoffs, he is rendered obsolete. They pack the lane, they make it impossible for him to attack, and that's where he just says, oh, well, I can't shoot, so I'm just going to dump it off to my teammate, and they take him out of that game. And then, you know what happens sometimes? That teammate scores, and Ben gets credit for the assist, and he goes, oh, well, I had a lot of assists, so how do you like that? I would trade Ben Simmons if you can get Dame Lillard here. I would trade Ben Simmons. You can get that number one scorer here next to Joel Embiid and see how those two work with each other. And then you can have Tobias Harris as a third scoring option. I would do that in a heartbeat. I just don't see it happening because of the value of Ben Simmons being down so much right now. And I don't know if I want to do it because of what you're going to have to give up in order to get said player. And I just don't know if the Sixers are willing to part ways with that right now. We'll see where it goes. But I find Ben Simmons to be indefensible. And there's no better example of that than watching him pass up on that dunk where he could have tied the game at 88 with about 3:30 left in the game. And instead, it was a 1-for-1 situation with Matisse Thybulle throwing down one of two free throws. Clint Capella, alley-oop, Trae Young, 3. And that was pretty much it after that.